Welcome to 30-minute yoga. Making sure that you've got your mat set up, you've got a nice quiet spot with room to move, arms and legs spreading out. You'll notice if you follow my class, I'm in a different spot. I feel like I'm giving you a tour of my home. So this is my downstairs workout area. So I need to make sure that I don't connect with my treadmill as I'm doing any of my moves here. So just be conscious of your space and what you have to work with. And I also have today with me a yoga block if I want to use it for supporting any of my balance poses. I've got water and I've got a yoga strap if I want to help with stretching. So I'm going to start today's class in a seated position. I'm going to use this yoga block, but you can also use a towel or use nothing at all. And I'm just going to have it as a little prop that I can sit on. So it gets my hips up a little bit, and then as I cross my legs, it pushes my hips forward. So just a little comfortable without it. Some people feel like they're folding too much. So you can try out different things, a towel or even a small cushion if you had it. So if you really don't like the seated position, I invite you to lay down in your opening Shavasana. But we're going to go through the same moves. So come into whatever position you feel is comfortable. And your gaze is going to become very soft or closing your eyes. Resting those palms so they're facing up in a nice open receiving position. Start to quiet the mind and focus inward. And pay attention to the in and out of your breath. And as we start, it's nostril breathing, so in and out through the nose. And if you are typically starting your class laying down and today you're trying the seated position, notice that the rib cage opens up all around, front, side, and back. Doing a scan from the top of your head down to your toes. If you find any parts of your body where you feel you're holding tension, maybe intentionally send your breath into that area. Could be your shoulders, your jaw, down into your legs. Just send a little more love in that area and try to relax if it's possible. Sometimes just the awareness of having the tension allows you to release it. Sometimes we're not even aware. Now let's start taking the breath a little deeper, a little longer. Inhaling through the nose and then a little hold at the top. Through the mouth, exhale and sigh. Doing that again. Inhale through the nose. Little hold. Open the mouth and sigh out. One more time. Inhale. Little hold. Exhale. Back to normal breathing, your pace, in and out through the nose. Your fingers start to wiggle, your toes start to wiggle. Maybe your eyes start to open and close, but keeping a soft gaze. And we're going to start rolling the shoulders up and then forward. And then coming back and opening through the chest. And let's do that again. Let's round forward. And then let's open with an inhale. Exhale. Round forward. And we're going to take that and we're going to use the torso more and go into a seated cow and cat. So as we open, this would be like our cow position. We would be letting the belly sag, and we would be doing a stretch through the chest area. So let's inhale. And then round and push out your lower back. Maybe you can even press forward with your hands. And this is like our cat. So again, into a cow, open the chest, inhale. And maybe taking those hands forward, pushing out the lower back. One more time. Inhale, open. And exhale. Good. Staying seated, placing the right hand on the mat, and I'm actually going to come off of my block now, and I'm going to sit right down, placing my right hand beside me, reaching up with the left, and then bending that right elbow as I reach over to the right side. Big stretch through the open left side of my body. Come up. Switching to the other side. So we're leaning to the left. My left elbow is bent. My right side nice and open. And coming back. Right hand goes slightly behind. Left hand on the outside of my right thigh, and I turn and I look over my right shoulder. Notice if your breathing got a little shallow, sitting up taller, allowing the breath to go in and out, and coming back to center. And to the second side. So turning and looking over the left shoulder, staying up tall, and staying here for a few breaths. And slowly releasing. And we're going to come up onto our feet. So make your way into mountain pose. Standing, grounding those feet. Palms forward. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Taking a deep breath with arms rising up. Left hand grabs onto right wrist and lean over to the side. Trying not to let either foot lift off the ground, so keep that connection. I'm just going to move back a little bit because I think I might be getting cut off. And slowly back to center with the arms down. Inhale. Grab on, right hand grabs onto left wrist, and lean over to the side. Grounding both feet. And come on back, hands down. Making your way to the top of your mat. With an inhale, swan dive down. Flat back. Hands down, stepping back the left foot and coming into lunge position. You can leave your lunge with the knee up or knee down. So whatever feels comfortable for you. And just holding this lunge. Moving that left hand a little closer to the inside of the right foot. Bringing your your hand onto your right thigh, right hip. And if it's in your practice, lifting up that arm. So we have our twisted lunge. And again, breathing. As we twist through the torso, we can compress some of the muscles and the diaphragm. We want to make sure we keep it open. So try to breathe without constriction. And let's come back down. And let's place our hands flat down and step back, both feet. So holding a plank position, or you can do knees down, modified plank. We're slowly going to lower ourselves down and top of the feet on the mat and come up into a cobra. Slowly lower back down, flip your toes, push up into our first downward facing dog. And waking up the back of the legs with a little pedal of the feet. Holding still, pressing the chest towards the floor and tail up to the ceiling. Up on your toes, bend the knees, look forward and walk to the top of your mat. Inhale and down, all the way up. Forward fold, flat back, placing your hands down and stepping back with the right foot, second side lunge, knee up or down, your choice. Nice and strong through those legs. And if you need to, move the hand a little closer to the arch of that front foot. As we slowly start to turn, you can leave your hand on your hip or reach it up. Breathing through the twist. Slight compression through the diaphragm, still trying to get the air in. And slowly come out. Both hands down, stepping back, and getting ready to do your choice of a flow. Chaturanga Dandasana. Slowly down, coming up a little higher, not quite into a upward facing dog if you're not ready yet, and pushing back into downward facing dog. Walk it out again if you need to. And then come to stillness. Bending and lifting up the right leg into three-legged dog. Bring that knee into the nose, step through to the top of your mat. Help yourself up into Crescent Lunge. So we're up a little higher, up onto the ball of the back foot. You can have your feet spread wider side to side on the mat to help with balance. Reaching those arms up, opening the front of the body. On your next inhale, let's turn that back foot and come into our Warrior Two position. Heel to arch alignment. Front knee is behind your front toes. Front thigh pressing to the back of your mat. Strong arms, relaxed shoulder. Flipping the front palm and exalt your warrior. Coming back to Warrior Two. And we're going to bring that front knee back, almost straight, but a little micro bend. Hinge at the hips. Lean forward as though you're reaching for something. And then start to tip. And here is where you might want to make an adjustment and grab your block. It can bring the floor a little closer for you. So work through all the multiple levels of the block, or right down onto the floor into our triangle pose. And let's slowly come out of that. Turn slightly now towards the front of the room, and let's turn that back foot so that it points to about 11 o'clock. And have that block ready again. Inhale. And we're going to fold over our front leg, using the block to bring the floor a little closer. We're going to rotate our triangle pose. So feeling this in the glute, right side of the body. And if you're not using your block, your hand is down on the ground. Twisted triangle. And coming out of that pose, moving the block, stepping forward. Inhale, and down, all the way up. Swan dive down. Inhale, hands down, stepping back. Your choice of flow. We can add in push-ups. We can have our knees on the ground. And if you're ready, upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Child's pose is available anytime you need it. If your body's talking to you and saying, I need to do something different, then listen to your body. Bending your left knee and up into three-legged dog. Bring that knee in, step through, and help yourself up into high crescent lunge. A little higher on the ball of the back foot. And we're warming up a little bit through the spine. We can lean back if you choose. And coming back, shoulders centered over hips. And let's pivot that back foot. Warrior two position. Check your toes on the front foot. Relax the shoulders. Flipping that front palm. Exalt your warrior. Back to warrior two. Bringing that front leg back, the knee doesn't go perfectly straight. Hinge forward. And then tip down. And again, using your block to help you in triangle pose. Experiment with the multiple levels of the block, the different heights. Slowly coming up. And now we're going to orient forward. That back foot goes on an angle, so the toes are pointing to about 2 o'clock. And again, let's have that block close if we need it. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. And right hand on the block or reaching down to the floor as we start to turn and twist our triangle. Settle into the pose. Try to relax your breathing. And slowly come out. Stepping forward. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale all the way up. Swan dive down. Flat back. Hands down, step back, last flow. Coming up into upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Bend those knees and look forward and walk to the top of your mat, flat back. And down. And up. And hands to heart center. And this is where you might use a yoga strap. So we're going to do dancer's pose. So standing on one foot and grounding that foot and moving the second leg slightly behind. And know that this is your first position and you don't have to move from here. Taking your left hand, palm up, and turning as though you're going to grab onto that foot. And this is where we use our strap. If we put it over the top of our foot or our ankle, we can get the same move, bringing that foot up behind us. So if we can't quite reach our foot with our hand, use the strap to bridge the gap. We're squeezing through the glutes. And we raise up the other arm. So if you don't like the balance pose, you can just every once in a while just lift your toes up behind you. If you have grabbed onto the inside of your foot in dancer's pose, you can always tip forward with it. Ground that standing leg. Slowly come back. Bring the knee forward and down. Ready to go on the second side? One side can be very different from the other, so if you use the strap, you might not need to second side, or vice versa. Maybe you didn't first side, and you want to see if it feels different second side. So, grounding my left foot, palm up on my right hand, and I turn, and I reach for the inside of my foot, squeezing those thighs together. And again, the option is always to use my strap, and it helps to have that leg lifted. If I'm finding the balance challenge is too much, I can just lift my foot every once in a while. Left arm reaches up high. Option to tip forward. Dancer's pose. Eyes focused on something that's not moving. Slowly coming back up. Bring the knee forward and down. Reaching up, hands to heart center. Reaching up, swan dive down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands down. We're going to go right down onto our knees. Taking your knees a little wider than your hips. Placing those hands out in front, but keep the hips off the heel. And a puppy pose. And now let's flatten those feet, shorten your arms, maybe they're coming so you're resting on your forearms, and into child's pose. Slowly coming out of child's pose. We're going to go into a seated position with our feet extended out in front. And we're going to bring in one leg, bend the knees, sit up nice and tall, maybe doing some adjustment so that you're on the sits bones. We can leave our foot on the inside of our knee. If it's in your practice, cross over. Right hand goes behind me. Left arm reaches up. And it comes down and either grabs onto your knee or the elbow goes to the outside of your thigh. And again, it's one last pose where we're doing a little bit of a twist. And coming back, and just untwist slightly. And let's switch those legs, maybe give a little shake. Bend the second side knee, sit up nice and tall. Crossing over, if you'd like. Hand goes behind, reach up, inhale. And exhale as we slowly start to turn. We hug the knee in or we bring the elbow to the outside of the thigh and turn and look over your shoulder. Stay up nice and tall and proud. Let the air in and out. And slowly release and a little unwind. And we're going to just extend those legs in front. Inhale. And fold forward, hinging at the hips, trying to keep the chest open. Looking towards those toes. Bring those toes back towards your nose. Release. Make any adjustments that are needed. Inhale. And exhale. Folding again. Slowly release. Bringing those feet with soles together into cobbler's pose. Want them to turn and face forward so the feet can be out any distance that's comfortable for you. Stretching for the inner thigh. Trying not to collapse through the chest, but keep it nice and open. A few deep breaths here. Releasing that, we're just going to put our hands to our side, and in a seated position, just a few windshield wipers for the legs. And resting in the center, finishing our class the way we started. Option is always to lay down in Shavasana if that's where you're more comfortable. So taking the time to move there if that's what you choose. And then scan from the top to the bottom, head to toe. Sending your breath into any area where you might find tension. Eyes are closed or soft. And just for a minute or two, listen to the sound of your breathing. Gently bringing your awareness back into the room, back onto your mat. Wiggling fingers or toes if you need that as well. Keeping your gaze soft if you were laying down. Make your way to seated position. Bringing hands to heart center. Acknowledge the time you just spent on yourself, dedicated to keeping you healthy physically and mentally. Then look forward to what's coming for most of us. A long weekend, for many of us, different than we usually recognize this weekend. Some of us, it's another weekend, and there's no significance to it. So however you choose to spend the next 3 days, try to carve out some time for yourself. 30 minutes doesn't sound like a lot. Sometimes we don't make it happen, so make yourself a priority. Thanks for doing that today. Namaste. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Enjoy your long weekend. If you do celebrate Easter, I hope it's a good one. And I hope for all of us, it's a wonderful spring weekend where we can all get outside, enjoy some sun, and get some rest. Take care.